Environmental Studies and Biology at the University of Nebraska at Omaha. And we are at Dundee Elementary School this morning on this beautiful September day at their outdoor classroom / rain garden / great project. And we're going to be talking about that project. So Kate Kennedy is here. She's the principal at Dundee. Andy Zotko with the city, stormwater program supervisor. And so we're going to ask some questions that relate to the project, try to get a better idea of how the project's worked, what might have been a challenge, what's been successful, and how it's perceived by the kids and how it's used in education. So Kay, we'd first like to ask how the project got started.
Yeah, you know, for a long time, this area behind us, on a day like this, would be mud, full of mud. And we noticed that the sidewalks were covered with mud. Grass didn't grow because there were 2 large trees here too. And so it was just a mess. And so parents on our PTO were talking about what can we do to help that out. And that's really how it got started. Not only on rainy days like this was it muddy, in the wintertime, the water just sat there and it was a sheet of ice. So that's really what got us started on the conversation.
How long ago, what was the project timeline?
I bet we started talking about it in 2015.
Okay.
And then in 2016, we really got going on the project. Yeah.
Andy, can you give us kind of an overview of the design of the project?
Yeah, the design really looked to take the water that was coming off the school and from around its north side to really manage it. And so it was meant to be a treatment train, to be able to showcase all the different things in green infrastructure that you can do in order to treat water as it moves from the building through the landscape and ultimately out to the street, going back into the storm sewers out there. And there was enough flexibility out here to where there's some trees that needed to get brought out that really opened up the plant palette, the design features that could happen. So starting at the school, at the downspouts, we start with a bioswale coming around the east corner of the school. And that comes down into an area that goes underneath permeable pavements where parents and students can congregate. Another downspout right next to that area has a 500-gallon cistern that collects water and can use that water to irrigate areas around the cistern. As that water comes around, it comes through another bioswale, and this old concrete that was removed was reused and repurposed into a walking path. Ultimately, with all that water making its way to a rain garden, and then it goes into a swale that takes it out to one final rain garden before it goes into the street. A little bit further on the west side of the building is another downspout that goes into another bioswale, and then a series of 2 rain gardens here right behind us. That slowed the water down before it goes back into that drainage channel to that one final rain garden out of the street.
There is some significant permeable pavement down below as well as parts of this major area.
Yeah, right behind us, so next to one little permeable paving patio area, and we have a much larger one as well. And then down below is a service drive that was a sheet of ice and was a big nuisance for the school. And all that is permeable pavement as well. Altogether, there's so much storage that can happen within that permeable pavement to let that water soak in the ground and slowly release itself on its way through the whole outdoor classroom. Total cost for the project, the exact number escapes me, but it was close to about $120,000 when it was all said and done. That included the driveway, the patios, the tree removals, everything.
Kay, can you tell us about the partners that were involved with the project?
Yeah, you know what, we first started off with our parent group and really talking about what we could do to make that site better. And then Meredith Dillon, one of our parents, knew about some grants, and I think she might have been the one to contact you, to contact Andy. And then Andy and I started talking, and of course we had the Omaha Public Schools Building and Grounds involved as well, and then Burns and McDonald too, who were kind of the engineers and the architects of the whole project. Andy representing the city too. So those are the main people that we worked with.
You mentioned earlier some of the problems that this project solved. So there was mud, it was really a space that wasn't well used. The trees that had to come out, in fact those little seats that we were standing out in the rain were actually, I think, part from that.
They were. They were. And then this bench too, we have a couple of these benches. This bench was constructed from planks of wood that were from one of the trees as well. Yeah.
Were there any other strategic things that the project helped with?
Yeah, you know, we have a great enrichment classes normally when kids are in school, and one of them is a garden enrichment group, and so students that are interested in participating in that, they use that area out there quite a bit with just the different plants and the different flowers that grow. And then the secret garden was here because it was nice tucked underneath those evergreen trees. And so we kept that little gate to that secret garden. So our teachers really utilize that space quite a bit too. Yeah.
That's just really cool. Andy, could you talk to us a little bit about the maintenance context for how things get taken care of out there?
Absolutely. One of the biggest parts of the maintenance piece was engaging Kevin, who's the head school engineer, in the process from the very beginning. And so Kevin was instrumental in making sure he had a good understanding of what was coming together and having feedback into that. Because without maintenance, little gardens like this can really become unraveled, and the knee-jerk reaction can be just to cut everything down. But with the engagement of the facilities, with Kay, with the parents, it's been phenomenal, where everyone's kind of playing their own part. And one of the things I know, talking with Kay over the years since the project went in, is the evolution of maintenance here as well, and making sure, okay, well, this plant didn't work, so maybe we can do a new plant there. And so having it be a real educational learning process, maintenance-wise, has been really good so far.
But I think that also helps with the school district as a whole. To have successful projects means that other schools can then attempt these projects and have a good sense of success over time.
Yeah,
for sure.
I would agree.
Any comments on plants?
Yeah, the original design looked at doing different kinds of Nebraska biomes throughout the landscape over there. So underneath the oak tree, it was trying to be an oak savanna. And a lesson learned, we seeded that with short grass, prairie grasses, for example. With the shade and with the nuances of being in the location it's at, that grass really hasn't kind of hit its stride. And talking with Kay and just how that space has evolved, there's some really nice stepping stones, so it's become a little more of an active use area as opposed to a passive prairie area. And so changing that out and having it become active is absolutely a great thing to have. And so that vegetation there has really evolved. Up towards the front of the school, we try to do some barren strawberry as a ground cover with some sedges mixed in that would handle the runoff from one of the downspouts. That area never really kind of took hold or took off. So some of the good ones that have really played out well are the fox sedge, the palm sedge, Pennsylvania sedge is in there a little bit as well. Joe pieweed, Siberian iris, a lot of your good true workhorse plants that appear in a lot of rain gardens as well have really proven to be pretty effective. Switchgrass as well. Once we got away from the school and the shadow of it, that's done really well in addition.
Any things that made you want to pull your hair out? Okay, or things that went much better than anticipated?
Really, I thought maybe not having that space to use while they were doing everything. But you know what? Really, it was fun to watch, from taking everything out and how they put in the whole tile out there, that permeable, that was really pretty amazing for us to watch, and our kids to watch too. On this north side of the building, you would often see kids looking out, watching all of that being done. And then of course the plants. So I can't say there was anything that really made me pull my hair out.
Well, it sounds like there's a really strong sense of ownership for the students here at the school, at least in the amount of time that it took to construct, but even now as the garden exists.
Yeah. It is. The only thing that I may have changed was to put more seating out there. That might have been the only thing that I would have changed, because those stone seats are always used, and I might have put more along the edge. That would have been the only thing, for parents mainly. Yeah, but really that's the only other thing that I think I would change.
Okay. You've commented on this already a little bit, but just how would you summarize the impact that this project has had?
I would say people are in a much better mood when they're waiting on the north side. Strollers were getting stuck in the mud. It was a constant battle with the ice during the winter. There wasn't enough ice melt in our building to take care of that. So, and people just enjoy that scenery and that area out there as well. And so it's just really been a wonderful project that has taken a kind of a icky kind of area and just made it so pleasant and usable.
In addition to Kay and Andy, we also have Tom Bentley with us today, landscape architect, previously with Vireo, so he was the landscape architect on this project. And Tom, could you give us an overview of the project design?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great collaborative process between Burns and McDonnell as engineering and Vireo with landscape architecture and putting that art and science and school children, the user experience together so that they all kind of harmonized as one. And a lot of it addressed the pragmatics of the circulation, the sheer volume of students and parents that would be out here at any one given time. But then also when we got to the vegetative components of it, a large part of it was knowing your user, and there was already a pre-existing proven commitment by Dundee Elementary and the parents and staff, so that we knew we could maybe get a little more adventurous because we knew it would be taken care of from a plant perspective. And so it was a series of just trying to create a bit of an organic flow. I mean, we have a very strong historic structure here, and we just kind of wanted to play off of that a little bit, but also make it fun for the children, because there was discussions of it being an outdoor classroom. There was even some club activities that students were proposing their concept ideas for it, and that we came and we met and listened to their presentations and gave a little bit of feedback on that. So I think given that, that's probably why you see so much of the curvature of the shapes. We didn't want to present the whole thing at any one time as we're standing down here, and what we were hoping was a little bit of a recess off of the main patio for smaller groups to sit on these log stumps to read, to talk. You know, it hopefully is encouraging art. Hopefully it's encouraging science. But it was primarily driven by flow, organic shapes, and in all confession, the earliest bubble diagram concept came together so quickly that it almost became set, and the final design just kind of built upon it and refined the lines. And so also, as what Principal Kay was mentioning, there were two pre-existing trees. One was an older ash that we kind of knew had a chance of succumbing to the emerald ash borer, and then there was also a hackberry that we could tell had some interior rot going on. And so while everybody can get a little unnerved with downing some very large mature trees, in this case the two that were taken had what maybe we'd call pre-existing conditions, or they were on their way out anyhow, and so there's a chance to utilize this in a different way. And so in the removal of those two trees, they were purposeful, and then some of it was utilized. For one, the hackberry was milled up and was utilized for some benches that are now within the school that a parent had done the carpentry on. But then on the ash, and this was a part during construction as well, was the stump is still there, with the idea of talking about history and counting the rings, and to know how old that tree is and what happened at that point in history. And it was just amazing watching the contractors as they're working on it and described why we left the stump. All of a sudden we have 5 to 7 guys over there counting. Hey, this was the moon landing. Hey, this was when I was born. Hey, this was, and it's those kind of things that even in, you know, adults, to find that awe and wonder as a child and bring this all together, I think was a great success. I really appreciate the craftsmanship as this all came together with the pave drain, the permeable paver product that was utilized. It was a gutsy move, I would think, in part to put it on that curvature, that radius. I mean, it can be done, but really appreciated the time and craftsmanship to really make sure that it came out right. So I think overall, looking back at it 2 years after the fact, it's a pretty space. It's a functioning garden, and hopefully the stormwater metrics and benefits are being harvested as well.
All right, well, we really appreciate your time today. I think this helps a lot relative to understanding how this project works, how it evolved, and how successful it's been. So